This is Sen Schrader Hill, founder of Elk Valley Paranormal down in southern Middle Tennessee. I'm a self-published author, so please go check my books out. There's 3 nonfiction. The first one is Whispers in the Dark, True Ghost Stories, and Eerie Tales. The second is They're Speaking, Are You Listening? My most compelling EVPs. The third is It's Not Goodbye, Signs from Beyond. And then there's one fiction, Web of Terror, a short story collection right along with my friend Mark Elliott Foltz. They're all available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle versions, so please go purchase them. Right now, I'm listening to Ghost in the Valley podcast. Come join me.
Hello, my name is Al Cooley, host of Ghost in the Valley podcast. Today is part 2 of my interview with Teodora Hadjiyska, also known as Teddy. And today we're going to talk about the Dyatlov Pass incident. Dyatlov Pass, 9 hikers died somewhere between February 1st and February 2nd of 1959 on that snowy, blustery evening. To this day, there's a question on how did they die. Was it by an avalanche, abominable snowman, UFO? So many questions. Some say 6 died of hypothermia, 2 with physical chest trauma, and 1 skull. Teddy is considered an expert in this field, so I'm going to let her explain her side of the story, how she's been investigating. She's been there a few times. I really enjoy listening to her side of this story in particular. If you missed part 1, please go back and check that out because she went through so much hell on an expedition she was on. It was a very, very bad automobile accident in the back of a truck, multiple surgeries and injuries and rods put in and near-death experience. That's on part 1. Part 2, we're going into her theories of the Dyatlov Pass in Russia, 1959. Here is part 2 with Teodora Hadjiyska, also known as Teddy.
That's how I heard Dyatlov Pass for the first time. They asked me if I'm coming from there, meaning that my chest was all broken. And then, so how it all started, I wanted to learn what is this, who are these people, how they died. My life was circling the drain, right? I was like dying. And then suddenly I saw the light of the tunnel. It turns out that how to say, everything that I lost, like couldn't go to the mountain for a very long time. I lost, so a lot of things changed in my life. I stopped working. I didn't care about family anymore. I didn't care about nothing. It turned out that my drain that was my life was circling around is actually the rabbit hole of the Dyatlov Pass. Ever since that time, this incident, 13 years.
How do you say that? Dyatlov? That's how you say that? Dyatlov?
You did better with my name. It's okay. Dyatlov. So Dyatlov, because the leader of this group is Igor Dyatlov.
I want to go back before we get into that. My version of it, because when I was in high school, way back when, we had a teacher. And, sometimes you get these teachers that's like blah, 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 blah. You just want to get out of school, But this one, he was a substitute, and he came in. He was just had him for a week. But every day he had a different story. And that one day was on that hiking crew in Russia. And I was just, because he would come in dressed in like a hiker. Or if he's doing something on somebody else, he'd come in dressed in that era. So he came in dressed as a hiker, and he went through all the scenarios that could have happened on that day. And who does that? And here we're in the United States, and I never even heard of the place.
He was talking about the Dyatlov Pass?
Yes. How weird is that? I was like, and he was talking about there was, I remember him saying there was 10. One didn't go. and there was 9.
No. What year was that?
That was a 1970, about 1974.
So he was talking
1974.
about Dyatlov Pass that long ago?
Yes.
Incredible.
And I thought, well, he had family from
Ekaterinburg, Sverdlovsk,
somewhere near Russia.
Near Russia.
Yeah, near Russia. And he was talking about how it was on these stories passed down. And he thought, well, it's a good history to learn about these people that died that nobody really knows to that day how they died. They had your was it an avalanche? Was it a bomb? Was it what he called?
Well, we know what they died from. That's a good start. I mean, like hypothermia.
He said hypothermia, and there was another one. What do you call it? Like a Yeti, involved a snowman, something like that. So I remember, and that does what perked my ears out. It sounds like. And then when I came across those hikers, I had to do my research back on it again, and a lot of things he may have got wrong, but I thought it was an interesting story back then in high school, because it really never became really prominent, right? Until they reopened the investigation.
They didn't reopen it.
They went back to
review
the incident. What was it, 2000 something, 12 or 2000?
Yeah, 19.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that all they said was an avalanche.
Well, that was the first theory in 59. That's not a new thing.
And then it was hypothermia.
Snow slab, not avalanche. That's what they say. Who are they? They is the prosecutors, Sverdlovsk region, that review the files. Even I say reopen, but it's not. He didn't reopen the case. He was actually looking for a reason to reopen, but right from the beginning, he said he's going to look only into natural forces like hurricane force wind, avalanche, and snow slabs. So how do you reopen a case based on natural forces? He said he's not going to look into criminal case, foul play, because there is no signs of this. Even your substitute teacher said at the time, it's amazing that he was talking about
Czechoslovakia. That's where his family was from, Czechoslovakia.
Czechs.
And how he knew about the incident, I have no idea. I wanted to go back to the hikers, when I was in school, because that was more interesting to me. I always wanted to hike, but then I found out how cold it was there, and
you still want to go? Because I'm going in July. Why not?
I don't think I could survive that.
Survive what? In summer, the worst thing are the mosquitoes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
In summer, this is like, you don't go above 800 meters altitude. This is like, even my country, Vienna, it's almost that altitude. It's not high at all. What's difficult is that you have to carry your everything, your backpack, your tents, everything is on your back, and then it's swampy. So you, instead of nice, comfy hiking shoes, you have to be in rubber boots the whole time, like wading boots, because it's a swamp. And mosquitoes like drones. But you go like a beekeeper with a lot of nets on top of you. And then when you go on the ridge, there's always wind. There are no mosquitoes on the ridge, actually, but you have to go through the forest to reach the treeless zone where there are no mosquitoes there, but there are bears in summer. But it's a different type of expedition. When I asked,
did they reopen that original trail? Have they ever reopened the original trail that they?
Well, it was never closed. Let me explain about this. There were no expeditions, treks right after the incident, right after 59. But let's say in 63, so that happened in 59, February. And then in 63, in summer, they went and mounted that plaque that's on the outlier rock that everybody sees when you type Dyatlov Pass. You will see a rock and a metal plaque that says there were 9 and their names and they didn't return. So that was mounted in 63 in the summer. And then the next, I don't remember, but it was even a movie was made during the next winter expedition. It was 70 something. It was never closed, but they controlled the access by not giving you a permit. They have deers there, so their deers graze on all over the mountain, and they live there, and they hunt there, and they go winter, summer, all of the seasons. They were never banned to go there. No one was warning them not to let their animals or them use the water, or because of any secret weapon testing, radioactivity, and all the talk about this in the case. They just didn't permit hikers, students, because you need to be a member of a sports club to be allowed to go there. You don't. The locals, they go there. No one is stopping them from going wherever they want to hunt or whatever. But to actually be given, because they're poor. People didn't have the resources to make an expedition, so you need the sports club to give you skis and tent and the maps and everything, supplies. So they were not permitting, because after the conclusion of the lead investigator that there was overwhelming force that killed the hikers. The only people that were fired, disciplined, and reprimanded were from the sports club. So how do you give permit to the next groups when you don't know what killed them and how they died in 59? So they were very careful in the next years not to give permission, not because they were hiding something, but because they didn't know what happened. To this day, we don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's like if it was a bomb or radioactivity, so maybe that was a reason. I don't know, because you have all these theories, and I was going to ask you what, I don't know if you want to answer or not, but what your theory was on, because what they found, 4 hikers in the stream. What was it? 3 years later.
Okay, the bodies were found in 2 groups, in 2 instances, 2 months apart. So the first bodies were found end of February, beginning of March, and there were 2 of them under a big cedar tree, and 3 of them were in one line going supposedly back to where the tent was found. So these first 5 bodies were found a month after they died. And then the missing 4 from the group were found after the snow melted down. Not completely, but from 4 meters it became 2 meters. So the Mansi saw some pine needles and stuff, and they started digging up into the snow. They found first the flooring that we call the den, and then they kept digging, and they found the 4 bodies in a pile in the creek, but they were not in the creek the whole time. First, just to explain, it's very cold, but the water in creeks never freezes fully. Like the hikers were following a completely frozen bed of the river, Auspia and Lozva. So the river freezes, the big open water spaces, they do freeze, but the tributaries that are running down to the river, they always have some part that's running, like there is water that you can fall into. And you just get wet, you don't drown in it, but the creeks and the small sources of water, they never freeze completely. So what I'm saying is that they were found in one of these, but they were not into the water the whole time, just the last 3 weeks or something like that. Otherwise, we judge by the decomposition of the bodies. And I don't know in which legend do you want now. We can go into the legend about the missing eyes and tongue.
A couple had missing eyes, one had missing eyebrows, one had missing tongue, head lacerations or head trauma.
Wait, the lacerations, the head, there were no lacerations, none. External, none. There was no bruising, even no discoloration of the skin, nothing. That's why we're talking about high velocity trauma, because inside the bones and the skulls were broken on some of them. That's also very interesting. Not all of them. It's like one thing that happened to them. Let's say if an avalanche just start rolling them down the hill, then more would be broken, limbs will be broken, but we have only 3, and that's a very interesting aspect of this mystery, that only 3 had injuries that would render them absolutely immobile and like a vegetative state for, they would die in 20 minutes. This is what the coroner said. This is what everybody with a medical background says, that they were dead in 20 minutes, 3 of them. One of them was with caved-in skull, caved in, without any lacerations or anything from the outside, which means that something very heavy, blunt, big, flat, just crushed his skull with a very high speed, not to leave any bruising. And 2 of them, one girl and a man, had flail chest like me, which means that they were not, even if you jump on top of someone, then the ribs will break in different places. But these rib cages were broken with one blow and multiple fracture lines, which means one big thing just crushed them with very high velocity, because there was nothing external on the tissue, but their rib cages were just crushed. But no broken arms, legs, nothing else. It's like one big thing, and this is what the coroner said. One thing hit all 3 of them. This is what it looks like. But the problem is that there is nothing around the body, nothing in the area that could cause this. There is no vehicles, no road, no big boulder, no big something high where they could have fallen from. This is usually the state of a body if it falls from the 8th floor. This is what it looks like.
Oh, something massive hit him then. Something.
Right. So 3 of them died like that. Then we add on top of that the state of the rest, which were underdressed. Everybody was in their pajamas, so to speak, like in the state that you spend a night inside the tent. Some of them were missing even their pants. I mean, not butt naked, but their underpants were taken. The talk is that the living were taking clothes from the dead. I don't see it this way, because weird things were swapped. It's like a staged redressing. Like there were gloves in the pockets of some of the jackets that were on the wrong body. There were buttons that were not fully buttoned. There were clothes taken from a body that were found in the snow, not on anybody's back. So what was going on with the redressing is one mystery that no theory even addresses. It's like every theory is like, okay, let me deal with other aspects of this mystery. There's a single theory that explains all that, but mine. I explain. No, seriously. I mean, I never thought that I can check all the.
I do have your book. I do have your book on order. I'm gonna pick that up. I've seen it on there. So.
Well, my book is like a cold case. It's not a beach novel that you're going to be entertained. Oh, how beautiful young people they were. No, nothing like that. It's like who was born where, went where, and who showed up in what capacity, dates, names, cold case. That's the book, cold case. I'm so not in the book.
Actually, the one person that didn't go, the 10th person that went back because of a medical problem. So that person never really did know either what happened, right? Because he just never was contacted by them because they never reached their destination, correct?
No, he didn't. He was clueless. So Yuri Yudin had chronic sciatica. That was not the first time when his nerves on the back, the nerve on the back got inflamed, and it happened on the previous one. He was carrying medicine to help himself. It got inflamed after the ride on the back of a truck. like my incident on the back of a
Yeah,
truck
yeah.
where it was open and it was windy. So they were taken from the Vijay to the 41st district on the back of a truck, and he felt sick. So he was in pain, and he decided to go one more stop to the next village, which was abandoned village, the Second Northern, because they were having help. There was someone with a sled, horse-driven sled, that was taking their backpacks to the Second Northern. So Yuri Yudin, because he didn't want to return back, but he had to. He went one more day with them, and because he could return back on that sled, so at least his backpack. So he returned back. We have photos, diary entries. Everybody loved him. Everybody said goodbyes. They gave him a little souvenir teddy bear and so on, which he kept to his death. And then when he went back, Yuri Yudin, because he was in a winter break from lectures that was supposed to go on the expedition, so he had some time, and he went to his native village. They didn't have phones or anything. And he may be the last person who learned about the missing group, the deaths, because when they started finding the bodies, they flew with a helicopter, picked him up, and took him straight to the morgue to identify his friends. And there were witnesses that saw him just in a crisis outside the morgue. He was crying, and because this like hours after he was told that his friends are dead, at least the first group of 5, he had to identify them in the morgue. He was absolutely clueless what could have killed them. So, well, of course, ever since he was interviewed, asked questions, he went to the location, to the Dyatlov Pass, every year. And he kept saying, should be something simple. He was never, he was dragged into the technogen, what they call, the Russian call it like a man-made accident, which means that something blew up, something that a man made, like a rocket or a weapon or some device, something went wrong. And this is, so now they branch, theories fork into that same explosion or incident killed them because they were exposed to poisonous gases, or I don't know what, something fell on top. Well, it didn't, because there are no traces on them of anything hitting them. There is a big book called The Half-Life of the Dyatlov Group, which is about gas that came from a balloon which was carrying I don't know what, some secret stuff. It exploded and they were exposed to this gas, and that they delayed the search operation with that many days, as much the elements of this gas to evaporate, disappear from their bodies. You can read anything. So it's either that thing killed them, or they witnessed something and they were killed because of that, like clean, not to tell that they saw Russian experiment. But then there were other groups. I can give you information on any of these claims, because all of the articles, books, movies, they just drop something like that. They don't follow up. There were other groups in the area. There were groups in the nearby peak that could actually see Dyatlov Pass. Why were they not cleaned? Why did they came back alive? Nothing. They didn't see anything. They didn't know anything.
There's one more thing that I don't know if you, what you think about this. And I don't know even if it's true, about that last picture taken of, looks like a Bigfoot type of thing in the background. Have you seen that picture?
No, I have seen all the pictures, but yeah. There are two pictures that are so-called last. One is the Yeti picture, and the other one is the technology picture with the big bright light in the middle. So usually frame 34 with the bright light, it's what the theory said, that it's the last thing they saw, that this is what they went out to photograph, that it's a bright light in the sky, and blah, blah. But it's usually the thing that when you take out the film from the old cameras, you make one shot to make sure the film ends or something like that. I have articles that explain that this is when you just click the film before you take it out without pointing at anything, without making actually a photo, because you don't know if there is one last frame left or not. And it's usually exactly like that. They just snap at something that's not on focus, is nothing. That's why this frame was cut off the film, never developed, because it was considered to be just nothing. So we don't even know when was that snap. Was it because when they found the tent, there were some films in metal canisters inside the tent that after that we have to guess whose camera was that film from, and that's all investigate. I mean, there is a lot of talk and everything is published. We think know which film was from which camera, and there were, in addition to that, there were films inside the cameras that were found. Some cameras were taken by students, by searchers, then they had to return them back. They developed them in their bathrooms, in their apartments. Even the lead investigator gave some of the films to the students to develop and print. So it's a mess. I mean, if you have to actually prove which film came from where, there no chain of evidence. I don't know what's called in forensics. But what you're asking is about the Yeti photo, which we do know everything about this photo because it's part of a negative. And because we see Thibault, one of the jokers from the group, we see Thibault rolling in the snow. He had a tripod. So he was sometimes he was making pictures of himself without anyone holding the camera, because they're usually in a lot of the films that belong to a camera that belong to someone. Sometimes the owner of the camera is in the photo because they gave the camera to someone else to make the picture, so they can actually be part in their film, right? And this Thibault, especially, you see in the 4 previous frames how he's rolling in the snow, he's joking, he fell, and he's like doing stuff. You see that he's making pictures of himself because whatever, it's in a short distance. And then the 5th frame, it's out of focus because the silhouette is too far away. And it looks like he went to pee or something in the forest, because you see the track of that silhouette that comes from the point where the photographer is staying to that silhouette, that's Yeti. You see track. So it's not like Yeti just popped up from the forest and they snapped the photo. And also, that was in the beginning of the trek. I mean, the trek, unsupported trek, after anybody saw them alive, it's only 3 days. So to speak about the beginning and the end is 3 days. But there were entries in the diaries after this Yeti photo was taken. So they would have mentioned something, and the only thing that Yeti photo goes with is one sentence from the Evening Cotorten, which is the document that's last dated by the group, and it's a satirical leaflet. It's a joke. It's a joke pamphlet or whatever they call it. Yeah. They have this habit of saying uplifting, positive things on a leaflet, like a newspaper, like a newsletter that was hanging. This is from wartime, so they were just lifting the spirits of the people, and it was also common for the hikers. That's also indicative of what state. It was a full surprise whatever happened to them, because in that Evening Cotorten, they start with the following line. So you tell me if that's serious or not. Let's increase the birth rate among hikers in the name of the 21st Congress of the party. Okay, the two girls that were in the group, and because of the autopsies, we know that they were virgins, so they were not increasing the birth rate of anything. Then there is the Armenian joke: can 9 hikers warm up with 3 blankets? Then is a new world records of assembling the stove. The device that engineer Kulevatov did to drag the cargo works on everything: the train, the truck, the bus, but not on the snow. And there, it's one sentence: we're in the land where Yeti lives. Now, the American movie, which the Russian killer Yeti, that was made specially for this photo, because they sponsored a whole trip to Russia to see if that photo is for real. And after it was for real, why didn't they check their facts about the Yeti note? They said in the movie that there was a scrambled note. Someone wrote, "We saw Yeti." That's right after the increasing the birth rate among hikers. Yeah, that's a joke. No one was okay. Anyways, Yeti and any other theory. Let's talk about how do we name the theories, because it's not what killed them, because Yeti didn't kill them. I mean, could you could say, okay, maybe we should just say what the theories are about, what made them cut open their tent and live without shoes and jacket. Everybody's talking about rockets and Yeti and infrasound and
UFO put in there somewhere.
UFO, yeah. So they're talking about something that could make you behave irrationally by leaving your tent, being scared, like go out in a frenzy, avalanche. That actually makes sense if you hear that the snow is coming down, cracking, or think that there is avalanche because someone is out and says avalanche. I've been in avalanche. That's exactly what happened. We were so careful, and then we gathered all in one place, and then it said, you hear the crack, and you're like in a cartoon, because this is the moment of the cartoon when there is no more rock under your feet and you're looking down and you know what's going to fall. It's just that moment, that frozen in time before you know that you start falling down. And this is what we say, avalanche. And then everything started. I mean, I went into the dark, like I was fully covered by the avalanche, but it stopped. So we could have they dug us up before. It could be fatal. I have a lot of survivors.
I can see how you can relate that with this incident.
Yeah. So so the theory about the avalanche is that they heard and they thought, and of course you're gonna cut open your tent. Then they went out, and this is when I'm kind of losing them, because they say that they didn't want to return to the tent, or they couldn't see the tent because it was dark, and they went down abreast next to each other exactly on the path of the alleged avalanche. If you think that this is going to fall down, you don't go on the route that it's going to take, because there on the ridge, you can go left and right and back and everywhere. But the steps, the tracks, the footprints, because maybe we should say these footprints are so controversial. I mean, I don't even want to repeat one more time that these footprints were left by the hikers, because this is what's going on. Their footprints found a month after allegedly they cut open the tent and went a mile down, made a campfire, dug up a bivouac, and died in unimaginable way no one can explain. There is another group, Sogrin's group, which is on a more difficult route, and 2 of the hikers from the Dyatlov group were supposed to be on that hike, but one, Zina was still in love with Doroshenko, so she went back to the Dyatlov group, and the other one didn't want to go for so long because he just had the baby. I mean, that we understand in 2018, that he had the baby out of... he wasn't married to the wedlock. And that baby's lost. We don't know where it is. It was, the mother of the baby was angry with Zolotaryov. That was the elderly hiker that joined in the last moment, and everybody's making him the devil, saboteur, spy, whatever. So the woman, the mother of his new baby, is mad at him, and she put the baby on the threshold of his mother. He went on expedition, and then the mother just gave him for adoption. I mean, they exhumed that guy. They exhumed him in 2019. This is how the Sverdlovsk prosecutor got interested in the case, because he got a letter that his bones were not fully buried after the exhumation. And he's like, okay, that sounds interesting. He was exactly like you and me. He was like, wow, what happened there? And then the statute of limitation hit, and so he was the only one that could reopen the case. And what he did is he did a PhD and went on expedition, and he was fired because he actually repeated the same conclusion that they had in 59. But even he was smarter, because in 59, this was just a theory. No one said anything about avalanche or a snow slab. Kuryakov said that they heard the snow slab. The same year, the Swiss published, we solved the case with the snow slab. No, the Russians have been theorizing about avalanches, all kind of avalanches, since 59, for 60 years. In 2019, that's not new stuff. Every time when someone solves the case in the headlines, if I had the penny, I would be rich. I could pay for my expeditions.
I mean, why did it take a month to get in there for the bodies? I mean, was it because of the weather?
Oh, because they didn't know they were missing. Because they were supposed, they die on the night. We don't know for sure, but this is when the photos, the diary entries and everything stops. And then they're expected back, because they die at the beginning of their trek. They were supposed after that date to actually reach the final destination and go even on the ridge and meet with Karelin's group and do some other stuff. And they were expected not earlier than the 12th. Then Yuri Yudin just casually says, well, we don't know, they may take 2-3 days more. So that it's February 15. So the relatives became worried. They started asking, phoning the club, and the answer was, it's nothing wrong. They were expected a little late, because while they are on the trek, they're out of any communication. That's part of the difficulty of the trek. And they're supposed to notify with a telegram the moment they show back to Vizhai, where is the first post office. So when they miss their date, while they were raising the alarm that someone didn't get back, it was already the 21st. So they died on the 1st. On the 21st, they started organizing the search. So until they were actually rounding up the students that were coming back from other expeditions and sending them.
You would think that family would be wanting to know the answers. Where's my loved one at?
They did. They were very persistent. They actually sent telegram to Khrushchev. They were very persistent. And that made, coincidence or not, that happened exactly on the top of the 21st Congress of Khrushchev's extra Congress, that he was very worried about his power and so on. So everybody was on eggshells, like, we report results with uranium and everything we do fast, 5 years in one, and we're all so strong, and everything is good. So suddenly someone dies, but they can't cover it up. So Khrushchev made like a PR. It was a precedent, a huge search and rescue operation. Like, we care about our kids. There was a telegram to him, and he responded with this absolute for exemplary search operation. So there was a lot of noise. This is no one ever, maybe the next one is Chivrai, but No one has ever looked for 9 missing hikers with so much military and power and aircrafts and everything. And that on top of the party congress. And actually, even the convoy of the Gulag was included, and the Gulag prisoners started running away because there was no one watching them. People that are supposed to build the railway were looking for dead bodies. I mean, 120 people were sent. In addition, with the student, that's a lot of manpower to look for dead bodies when the country has a lot of other regime holes to tap, to close.
We've mentioned possibilities of UFO. I'm just saying what's out there. UFOs, a bomb going off, radiation.
You're asking me for theories. Okay. So the late head of the foundation in memory of the group, Dyatlov group, he said they're 175. And then when someone is asking him, where are they still 175? And he was laughing and saying, I can say whatever number I want. There is no way to count theories. And what do you mean count theories? They range from lovers' quarrel triangle to religious killing from the indigenous people. But those are not full theories, because you either name a UFO. Who died from a UFO? How exactly did they die? Okay, so if they run, they were scared, they saw something in the sky. Who is going to leave their tent and clothes and shoes and run where from the UFO? And okay, they escaped the UFO because they made a campfire and they dug up a den and everything. And how did they die? Why just 3 of them have these injuries? I started saying about Sogrin's group that 2 of them were supposed to go on that. Then I trailed off Zolotaryov and his baby. This Sogrin group, they burned down their tent on the 2nd day. And their trek was much longer and harder than that of the Dyatlov group. And they continued. They didn't turn back. No one died. Even one boot was burned with the tent. They continued. They were digging snow caves. They were bivouacs. They were making fires. Well, it wasn't easy, but they did it. Losing your tent is a survivable event, and they went down for a mile, so they were okay in the ravine. So how did they die? So if you're going to name theory after something that scared them out of the tent, that same theory has to follow them for 2 hours, 3 hours. I don't know how, according to this theory, how long it took them to get down, and why there, since they came from south. Why did they go north where they didn't know what to expect? They didn't have map. It was in the middle of the night.
Yeah, right.
Why go to the north? And they even left some supplies and shoes and skis at the cache site, which is called in this case Labas. Labas is where the indigenous people leave some of the meat. The hunters, they leave what they hunt. Their kills on raised platforms in the forest to come back to take it because when they go to hunt, they kill an animal here, they kill on another place, so they raise these platforms, and they're called labas. The Dyatlov group and the hikers also use the same word for cache site. This is where you leave some of the supplies because they're too heavy, or you're gonna need them on the way back. To this day, we still do that. The problem with the cache site of Dyatlov is that it was found in the forest, and if it's in the forest, it's supposed to be hanging on trees. Well, it was found in a snow hole in the ground. This is where the animals are gonna get it, and this is where you can find it when you go back, because there is no trail, there is no nothing. And I question even the labas that they found, because they didn't find it at the beginning. And then when they were told that they should look for a labas, suddenly it appeared 20 steps, 20 feet from the trail to the pass that they were going by every day. So nothing in this case is simple. Like everything like the tent, the tent cannot stay there in the condition that it was found for a month, just because it's too windy, even without a storm, and there's storm every second day. Like when we went with Expedition Unknown with Josh Gates, according to the screenplay, we spent the night on the ridge. Not that it was smart, just because this is how it goes. The tale goes that they spend the night on the ridge. And because doing a camp exactly where the tent was found is just absolutely stupid, they did the camp behind the rocks. That's telling you, even if Dyatlov went bonkers and decided to prove to I don't know what, that he can pitch a tent there, there's stones that you can hide it behind. Why not do that from the wind? And Expedition Unknown, the day that we left, the whole camp was blown away. It was destroyed. And that's without a storm. And that tent that they found in 59 was not even properly secured for a tent out of the tree zone, because then you need additional ropes in the middle of the tent. It's a very old tent. It was just propped on ski poles. I don't know how that could stay like that even for 2 days.
Yeah, with the wind and all that. Yeah.
With the wind, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to get to what's your plan? You said you plan on going back there again this summer?
I go there every year. Since, my debut was Josh Gates. He made my dream come true. I should see that place exactly on the date when they died, because this is what they were saying. And for me, that was the magical expedition when I felt it, like I was there. I was seeing the same stars, the same sky. I felt it. I felt like the earth is flat, like I'm on the edge of the earth, and I'm such a small particle of the big unknown that it's not even a fear that you're out of control. It's just like it doesn't matter. Everything is so much bigger and it could be so much worse. It's like suddenly realizing, well, the only certain thing in our life is our death, that we're gonna die. I mean, that's the only thing. I mean, you don't think about dying. You just think about the universe. It's like, okay, you go there to understand, try to understand how they died, and then at that magical place, you start feeling that you should actually live your life, because you're gonna die and they're already dead. And by coming here, that's a good way to find out things about yourself. This is what happened to me. My life changed profoundly, and it's not that I don't care if I'm going to solve the case, but it's like, okay, the universe has something to show me and give me, and by making any plans and theories, I'm just obstructing it to show me what it has in store for me. It's very strange. It's not even that was my experience, but everybody has a different experience. I'm going there every year because every year I find things. So on my next expedition, after Expedition Unknown, was in summer, when I went without any idea. I mean, I had a theory that a big tree just fell on top of the tent in the forest, because there are no trees on the slope. And because my revelation was that from the very beginning, the most strange thing for me was that 3 of them are so smashed and the rest had nothing. 3 of them are dead on the spot, and then everybody else is running around like headless chicken in their underwear and trying to do something, get away, call for help or something. And it's obvious that they're repositioned. I don't know if they're staged, but they're repositioned, because the first 2 bodies are found dragged by their hands next to each other without pants. I mean, it's obvious, but no one now we think, oh, their friends were dragging them and pulling their pants off. I mean, seriously, they all died in the span of 1 hour from each other. And the first thing that comes to mind is when somebody dies to drag him and pull his pants off. I mean, really?
Yeah, the only thing I can think of, maybe an animal could drag you, but
there are no marks of anything, and but then you look closer, and that applies for every aspect of this case. Like when you look at the morgue photos of these poor souls of the two first bodies, you see, because they still have their checkered t-shirts, like in Russian they're called cowboy shirts. I mean, because they're like checkered, right? So this is like the uniform for the hiking in Russia. And you see, so they still have their shirts. And you see that the shirt of one of them still has the impression of the rubber band of the pants, of the underpants, which means, because they had to tow in the morgue for a couple of days, which means that the pants were pulled down after he was solid frozen, because his checkered shirt is still with the imprint of the elastic band.
Okay.
And his underpants are also not pulled off. Well, you can do that like on a warm body, but they were ripped. I mean, they weren't even found on anybody's body. They were just pieces of them were found in the snow.
So many unanswered questions, and it was my pleasure having you on today. And I'm glad you enlightened me on some of the things that was not true for my teacher.
We haven't started yet. Come on.
I know.
No, I mean, I just want to say that I'm finding every year I'm finding things on the expeditions, and right now I'd like to
have you come back on and give me an update.
Okay.
I really would.
All right.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Will do.
I'm going to put that link for your book in the show notes as well.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you, Teodora Hadjiyska, for that fantastic interview, the second part of the two-parter. And I'm sure I'm going to be talking to Teddy sometime in the future with updates, and she is one fascinating woman. And please stay tuned. Next week, I'm going to do a special on the Bigfoot sightings in my county, Trumbull County, Ohio, that just recently occurred within the last 2 weeks. There has been multiple sightings in Portage County and Trumbull County, Ohio. A very interesting episode next Monday. I'm your host, Al Cooley, host of Ghost in the Valley podcast.